Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're cutting through some of the noise around a topic I'm pretty sure has crossed all our minds at some point, weight loss.
Mhm.
It's a field absolutely brimming with quick fixes, fad diets, but our mission today really is to understand the underlying science,
Yeah,
how our bodies actually shed fat, and maybe more importantly, how we build habits that, last.
exactly. We really want to go beyond just the headlines. The goal is to equip you, the listener, with a real grasp of the intricate biological processes involved.
Right.
Everything from that fundamental idea of energy balance to the complex roles of hormones, metabolism, even the surprising influence of your gut health.
Gut health, interesting.
Yeah, it's this dynamic, interconnected system. It's definitely not just a simple equation. Understanding this deeper science, that's how you make genuinely informed choices for yourself.
Okay, so let's unpack this. At its very core, when people talk weight loss, the first thing that usually comes up is the caloric deficit.
And the foundation.
Yeah, the foundational principle. Consistently burning more energy, more calories than you consume. Energy in versus energy out. Sounds simple, right?
It does sound simple, but the reality is, well, it's far more nuanced.
How so?
Well, while that caloric deficit is absolutely the base, you could think of it like the bottom layer of a weight loss science pyramid, maybe.
Okay, I like that. A pyramid.
Yeah.
It's there.
It's crucial to understand it's just that one layer, the bedrock. On top of that, you've got your metabolic processes.
Right, how the body actually uses the food.
Exactly. How it turns food into energy, regulates critical hormones. Then comes the careful balance of macronutrients.
Carbs, protein, fat.
Precisely. Understanding their specific roles, protein for satiety and muscle, carbs for energy, fats for other functions. Then further up that pyramid, we're looking at holistic health.
Okay.
This includes stuff often overlooked. Muscle retention, super important. The state of your gut health, like we mentioned, stress levels, sleep quality.
Wow, okay. Lots of factors.
And then right at the very top, the pinnacle, are those sustainable habits, the long-term lifestyle changes. That's what leads to lasting success, way beyond any, temporary diet.
So here's where it gets really interesting for your journey, for the listener. When you start to align all these elements, from making sure you have that basic caloric deficit all the way up to building truly sustainable habits, your body just becomes way more efficient at burning fat.
That's it.
It's kind of where that deep science really meets practical lifestyle choices. Things like, smartly balancing your protein intake, staying hydrated, maybe even thinking about meal timing.
And, this raises a really important question, something many people struggle with. Why is maintaining the weight loss so often harder than losing it in the first place?
That's a huge one. Yeah.
It really is. Studies show a significant number of people actually regain the weight they lost, maybe within 2 or 3 years.
Wow.
The effort doesn't just stop when you hit a goal weight. Sustaining that loss requires, profound long-term changes to your diet, exercise, your whole lifestyle. It demands consistent commitment to those new habits, even when maybe that initial motivation starts to fade a bit.
And this is exactly where those, popular fad diets and quick fix hacks just fall short, isn't it?
Totally. They might promise really rapid results, and okay, you might see some changes on the scale initially.
Right, that initial drop.
But because they're often built on really extreme restrictions, things you just can't keep doing, the weight almost inevitably comes back once you sort of revert to your old routines.
Yeah.
Sustainable weight loss isn't about a temporary cleanse or some, 30-day challenge. It's really about discovering and adopting habits you can genuinely integrate into your life. Forever.
Okay, so let's talk about something super common and honestly really frustrating on a weight loss journey, hitting that plateau.
Ah, the plateau, yes.
You feel like you're putting in the effort, doing everything right, checking the boxes, but the scale just isn't moving. What is going on there?
It's incredibly common and, very demotivating.
Yeah.
But it's actually rarely a sign you're doing something fundamentally wrong.
Okay.
More often, it's about, subtle miscalculations maybe, or just your body's clever adaptations. Let's break down some of the most common reasons.
Please do.
Okay, first off, your caloric intake might actually be higher than you think.
Ah, sneaky calories.
Exactly. Unintentional overeating is so common, even with foods we think of as healthy. Portion sizes are really crucial. And then there are those hidden calories.
Like what?
Things like cooking oils, salad dressings, even those seemingly harmless snacks like granola or nut butters, or calorific drinks, fruit juices, fancy coffees. They add up fast.
Right.
And what's more, as you lose weight, your body naturally gets more efficient. Your metabolism can actually slow down a bit. So
Hmm.
the calorie target that worked initially might need some adjustment over time.
That makes sense. The body adapts.
It does. Then there's the issue of lack of consistency.
The weekend effect.
Could be. While aiming for perfection isn't realistic or even healthy, those occasional cheat meals, missed workouts, maybe bigger weekend indulgences, they can quickly undo the deficit you built up during the week.
Right. Chipping away at the progress.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Long-term success really hinges on regularity. Consistency in your sleep, your meals, your activity, not flawless adherence, but general consistency.
Okay.
And sometimes, honestly, plateaus are just normal.
Really? Just part of the process.
Yeah. It's your body's sophisticated adaptive response. Think of it like a survival mechanism honed over millennia.
Okay.
When you consistently take in less energy, your body naturally tries to conserve. It's a process called adaptive thermogenesis.
Adaptive thermogenesis.
Yeah, it means not just potentially a slightly slower metabolism, but changes in how efficiently you burn fat versus store it. Your body gets smarter.
So how do you...
Well, beat might be the wrong word, maybe work with it. You could try strategies like carefully adjusted calorie cycling or increasing your NEAT.
Neat. What's that?
Non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Basically just moving more throughout your day outside of planned workouts. Taking the stairs, fidgeting, standing while working, just burning more calories, incidentally.
That adaptive thermogenesis point is fascinating. It's like your body is almost trying to protect you from losing weight too quickly.
Yeah.
Which, made sense back in the day.
Exactly. A survival advantage then, maybe less helpful now.
So beyond the diet side, what else really impacts progress significantly?
Oh, definitely. Not enough physical activity is another critical piece. Diet and movement, they really work together synergistically.
Right, you need both.
Absolutely. While cardio is great for burning calories during the activity, resistance training, lifting weights, or body weight exercises is vital
Why resistance training specifically?
because it builds and preserves muscle mass. And more muscle fundamentally increases your resting metabolic rate. So you burn more calories even when you're not exercising.
Precisely. Even when you're just sitting still. So a well-rounded program, maybe combining strength training, some high-intensity interval training, or HIIT, and just consistent everyday movement. That's really key.
Okay. What else?
Then there's the silent saboteur, not getting enough sleep.
Sleep, really? How does that affect weight?
Oh, profoundly. When you skimp on sleep, it really disrupts your body's crucial hunger-regulating hormones. Ghrelin, which signals hunger, goes up,
Oh, dear.
and leptin, which signals fullness, goes down.
So you feel hungrier and less full.
Exactly. It's like your body is constantly screaming for food, even when it doesn't truly need it. Makes sticking to any plan incredibly difficult. Willpower just takes a nosedive.
Wow. How much sleep should we aim for then?
General recommendation is usually 7 to 9 hours of good, uninterrupted sleep. It really supports hormonal balance and metabolic function. It's actually incredible how directly sleep impacts those hunger hormones. So, okay, what about some of the less obvious forces? Like stress. Can that hinder progress?
Absolutely. High stress levels play a significant and often really overlooked role.
How does stress do that?
Well, chronic stress increases the hormone cortisol, and high cortisol can lead to increased fat storage, particularly around the abdominal area, that belly fat.
Right, the stress-fat connection.
Yeah, and it can also trigger emotional eating, where food becomes a coping mechanism, not fuel. So finding effective ways to manage stress, maybe meditation, yoga, deep breathing, just taking relaxation time, can genuinely support your weight loss goals. It creates a more optimal internal environment.
Okay. Are there actual medical reasons someone might struggle?
Yes, definitely. It's important to consider if underlying health conditions might be playing a part. Things like hypothyroidism, where your thyroid isn't producing enough hormones, which slows metabolism, or polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS, a common hormonal disorder in women that can significantly impact metabolism and make weight loss harder.
Right.
Even things like insulin resistance or prediabetes can interfere. If you suspect anything like that, it's always, always wise to consult a healthcare provider for proper diagnosis and guidance.
Good advice.
And beyond specific conditions, just general hormonal imbalances can significantly impact your efforts. We mentioned leptin and ghrelin for hunger, but insulin is huge too, controlling blood sugar and influencing fat storage. If these key hormones are out of balance, it disrupts your body's signals and processes.
And this affects women differently sometimes.
It can, yeah. Women in particular might experience more noticeable hormonal shifts due to natural cycles, menstruation, pregnancy, menopause, or even things like hormonal contraceptives. These can all influence weight regulation.
Okay. And you mentioned gut health earlier, too.
Yes, gut health and the microbiome. This is a field with a lot of exciting new research.
What's the connection?
Well, it seems your gut bacteria can directly influence things like nutrient absorption, how many calories you actually extract from food, and even fat storage patterns.
Wow.
So promoting a healthy, diverse gut microbiome, think probiotics, fiber-rich foods, could be a really supportive strategy. The sources we looked at even mentioned specific examples like a probiotic 60 billion CFU supplement as something that might potentially boost gut health in this context.
Interesting. Any other common pitfalls?
One more big one: inconsistent eating patterns.
Like skipping meals.
Yeah, exactly. Skipping meals or having really irregular meal times can kind of mess with your metabolism and your hunger cues throughout the day.
What about intermittent fasting? People do that.
True, and approaches like intermittent fasting work very effectively for some individuals, but for others, skipping meals can just lead to overeating later because they get excessively hungry.
Makes sense?
So, for many people, establishing regular, balanced meal times can actually help control hunger better and maintain more stable metabolism.
Wow, that's a lot of factors.
Mm-hmm.
But what strikes me, what's really fascinating, is how truly interconnected all these different elements are.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about this before, kind of like the foundations of weight loss, almost like strands of a DNA helix all twisting together.
That's a great way to picture it, yeah. Think of it as this holistic system. Each component doesn't just act alone, it's constantly interacting with all the others.
Okay, so break that down a bit more.
Sure. So at the core, you have human metabolism, this incredible process converting food and drink into energy. Its efficiency is influenced by so much we've discussed: age, sex, muscle mass, activity level.
Right.
When one factor changes, like you build more muscle through exercise.
Your metabolism adapts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It adapts to burn more calories, even when you're resting. Then there's the role of diet.
Beyond just calories.
Way beyond. Yes, the deficit is foundational, but it's what you eat. Macronutrients: protein for muscle and satiety, carbs for energy, fats for cell function. They directly impact your metabolism and how full you feel.
And the vitamins and minerals, too.
Absolutely. Micronutrients, fiber, water, they all play crucial supporting roles, affecting everything from energy levels to satiety signals.
Okay. And activity fits in how?
Well, the role of physical activity goes beyond just the calories burned during the exercise.
Right, you mentioned the muscle building.
Exactly. Resistance training is key because it builds muscle, which directly increases your resting metabolic rate. So a good exercise routine isn't just about the workout burn, it's about boosting your calorie burning capacity 24/7.
Got it.
And underpinning all of this really is the psychological aspect.
The mind-body connection.
Absolutely. Stress, sleep deprivation, or motivation levels, discipline, even things like emotional eating or food addiction, they aren't just mind over matter. They profoundly affect our hormones and metabolism.
So stress can literally change your body's fat storage.
It can influence cortisol, which influences fat storage, yes. And lack of sleep directly impacts those hunger hormones we talked about. Understanding these mental and emotional components is just critical for sustainable change.
So it's definitely not just calories or the workout. Our minds, our emotions are directly linked to our physical metabolism.
Okay, what about genetics? How much does that really play a role? Is it all predetermined?
That's a great question. And understanding the role of genetics is also key. Your genes certainly do influence things. Your baseline metabolism, maybe where you tend to store fat, even your inherent hunger signals.
So some people do have it harder.
Genetically, yes, some individuals might find weight loss inherently more challenging due to their predispositions. However, and this is really exciting, the field of epigenetics.
Epigenetics.
Yeah, it shows us that our lifestyle factors, everything we're talking about today, diet, exercise, sleep, stress management, can actually alter how those genes express themselves.
So you're not totally locked into your genetic blueprint? Not at all. Your choices have a significant impact regardless of your genes. Then there's the hugely significant impact of hormones.
We touched on those.
Right. Insulin regulating blood sugar and fat storage. Leptin and ghrelin managing hunger and fullness. These chemical messengers are constantly communicating with your brain and body, dictating cravings, energy levels, everything. Keeping them balanced is paramount.
Okay. And the microbiome again?
And the microbiome, yes. Your gut bacteria. There's a fascinating and increasingly understood link to weight management. They influence how efficiently you absorb calories, how you process nutrients.
So a healthy gut helps.
It seems a healthy, diverse gut environment can definitely support optimal metabolic function, making it potentially easier for your body to manage weight.
Okay, so after hearing all this, someone listening might be thinking, right, okay, how do I actually break through this plateau or just get started and see some results?
Mm-hmm.
And the practical tips really seem to flow directly from everything we've just discussed, reinforcing how interconnected it all is. For instance, you could start by maybe meticulously tracking your calories for a bit, using a food journal or an app just to get a real handle on intake and ensure you're consistently achieving that nuanced caloric deficit we talked about.
Good starting point, awareness.
Yeah, awareness. And really dial up the physical activity, not just hitting the gym hard, maybe, but also increasing daily steps, boosting that NEAT,
The everyday movement.
and definitely prioritizing resistance training to build or maintain that muscle mass.
Crucial.
And crucially, prioritizing sleep and stress management. They're not just, nice to haves. They seem essential for balancing hormones and setting your body up for success. And of course, like you said, if you suspect any underlying medical or hormonal issues might be hindering things,
Always check with a healthcare provider.
yeah, get personalized advice. That's always the smartest move. And the source material we looked at also mentioned that some people might consider certain weight loss supplements, like a fat burner coffee, perhaps as an additional support for their journey.
Right, as a potential tool within that broader context. It's also really crucial, I think, to discuss the health risks involved here, not just with obesity, but also with losing weight too quickly.
Good point. Both extremes can be risky.
Absolutely. Obesity itself, as many know, is linked to numerous serious health problems. Heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, certain cancers, gallbladder issues, osteoarthritis, sleep apnea, fatty liver disease, kidney disease, even complications during pregnancy. The risks are significant.
Okay.
But on the other flip side, while healthy weight loss is beneficial, losing weight too rapidly carries its own distinct set of risks.
Like what kind of risks?
Well, it can lead to significant nutrient deficiencies because you're restricting so much. You can lose valuable muscle mass, not just fat, which impacts metabolism long term. There's an increased risk of gallstones, severe dehydration, dangerous electrolyte imbalances that can affect heart rhythm, potentially problematic drops in blood pressure causing dizziness.
Wow, okay.
Even things like hair loss and skin problems can occur due to the lack of essential nutrients. So really, regardless of your circumstances or goals, the recommendation is always to consult with a healthcare provider. Ensure your approach is safe, effective, and actually tailored to your individual health needs.
That's really important context. Safety first.
Definitely. And, if we connect all of this back to the bigger picture, it becomes so clear that weight loss extends far, far beyond that simplistic old adage of just eat less, move more.
Yeah, much more complex.
It truly involves this complex dynamic interplay of your metabolism, the specifics of your diet, your physical activity, those crucial psychological factors like stress and sleep, your unique genetics, the intricate balance of your hormones, and even the health of your gut microbiome. It's all woven together.
So what does this all really mean for you, the listener, tuning in today? Ultimately, it seems sustainable weight loss requires a comprehensive, balanced approach, one that's tailored to your individual needs, your unique body. Yeah. It's about understanding your body's incredible interconnected systems and then building habits that support long-term health, not just chasing a fleeting number on the scale.
Well said.
So maybe a final thought to leave you with. Considering how deeply interconnected our internal systems really are, from our hormones fluctuating to the bacteria living in our gut, what new understanding does this deep dive give you about your own body's incredible capacity for change? And how might that empower your choices moving forward, knowing the journey is truly as much about discovery as it is about the destination?